What's this?
Oh, I called Bradley Turner. I called.
What was it?
Were we drunk?
No. When was it?
Yes, so Brad was. I called
yeah.
Bradley Turner. Hey, and he goes, "What'd you call me?" I said Turner.
Oh,
He's
shit.
like, "What?"
Yeah, I forget. I forget a lot. Brad, what are you? Not sponsored. Yeah, so story time. This morning we woke up at. By the way, hello.
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 Welcome to
Hi.
Clovercast. Yeah, we haven't done.
Welcome to our podcast.
We're called Clovercast.
We're called Clover. Are we actually? We're naming it. We're christening this
Clovercast.
Clovercast.
Yeah, today
okay.
it is.
We are Clovercast.
I love it.
Clovercast.
Yeah.
Yep.
For the people who don't know us.
Say that the sun just pops out.
Yeah, it's a sign.
Turn it up. Turn the heat up.
For the people who don't know us, we're a hard rock four-piece rock band.
Hard rock
Four-piece rock band of awesomeness.
Amen.
From Adelaide, South Australia. We play guitars and basses and all
drums.
that bullshit.
Drums are real musicians. Drummers are real.
Drummers
Well,
are
yeah.
real musicians.
Yeah, is that right? Is that right?
We
I need
advocate
3
for drummers' rights.
We do.
Yeah.
My glass.
No, but we just thought we'd give the whole podcast thing a try,
Yeah.
and it's been fun so far. Even though
We failed last week.
yes,
We tried to shoot the first
We tried to
episode.
shoot
This
the-
is a reshoot because
yeah,
all the cameras died, and then the
all the
laptop
cameras died.
and then
What one by one, it was this one, then that one,
And then
and
the
then
phone.
the phone
and then my laptop went, and then we
burped
just
into
like
the mic. That was horrible.
sexy.
Yeah, everything died.
Yeah,
Everything
so-
just
including me.
shit itself. Yeah, well, I was so disappointed and deflated
I
that.
went
Yeah,
home
you
and
were. You
cried.
guys were very.
Did you actually?
I didn't actually cry.
Oh my god.
I was like,
I was so sad. I think I did go home and go straight to bed though.
You were
Really?
So sad.
Yeah.
didn't we do it in the morning?
No, we did
Oh,
in the
no,
afternoon.
okay.
I mean, I still went to bed at like 6
Oh,
o'clock.
didn't you have to
so
go
I'm
out that
sad.
night or something?
No.
Yeah, you had to go
Dad
out.
had a live stream, so because all
Yeah,
this
that-
gear's
oh,
on
that's
rent.
right.
This
That
is
was
not
right.
my gear.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
renting it from my father
Yeah.
because we're cool
Shout
like
out
that.
Brett Littlefair,
Go Brett Littlefair,
the
band
true
coach.
the true Arbor of Blues Award winner.
We love blues, Dad.
The true
Arbor.
winner of the Arbor. I can't
Yeah,
Arbor
but,
of
even.
Blues Awards.
Blues Dad has got awards. What? Blues Dad
You
has got an
need some
award.
coffee,
I
man.
do. I don't. Yeah.
Sugar
Blues Dad has got
coffee.
an award show tonight,
Yes.
Yes.
so that should be
Yes.
very exciting for him.
By the
Mhm.
way, just one more thing before we get onto track. After 4 years of friendship, and I mean deep, rich
Oh, God.
friendship, like
Deep rich.
brother and sister friendship,
Oh no, we're not.
this woman,
Don't
Right
touch
here.
me.
the woman I thought I could turn to in hard times, and thinks my coffee is shit. She's never told me.
I'm a coffee snob. I'm a
And
barista.
I was
What do you
secu- no,
expect?
but
I'm a
this is the-
barista.
I was insecure about this because you're a barista.
No.
I'm thinking, oh, she actually thinks my coffee's good, and she's a
Mm.
barista.
I have no comment.
Just to make you feel better, your hot chocolate's not that flash either.
He's just getting torn to shreds right now.
You know, like that memes, like. Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, yeah.
No,
She knows.
I don't.
Okay,
Anyway, we should get on
what
topic.
are we talking about today?
We're talking about the story of Black Sabbath.
Sack.
No.
Sucks.
Okay.
I have to think about how I say that name now because
Black
Yeah.
Sabbath.
I always go
Yeah.
to say Sack Blabbeth.
Where did that come from?
Previous
Was it
band
me?
member. No, it was Hudson.
Oh,
Oh, was it
Yeah.
Hudson?
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was me.
No, he started
Damn.
calling it Sack Blabbeth, and then you two started calling it Sack
Sack
Blabbeth,
Blabbeth.
and then it
Sack-
just
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
It's very easy to get
Yeah, yeah.
backwards. But yeah, we're telling the story of their early lives.
Early lives,
So-
only early lives.
Yeah, because we were gonna cover their
whole
whole
life. But there's so much to
They
talk
have
about.
had such an interesting career.
So
So, and we thought, being as they're one of our biggest influences, first episode talk about
yeah, talk
the
about
inventors
the
of
men themselves.
The absolute
inventors
man, the
of
myth,
heavy
the
metal.
legends themselves.
Yeah.
The dynamic of this podcast is that me and Molly are a team, and Holly and Brad are a team. We're covering more of the old school side of music, and they're going to cover sort of the new school stuff.
Yeah.
And each episode,
We tell
we're
a
gonna
different
take it in
story,
turns, and
basically.
we're going to tell a different story of
Yeah.
how the artists come up.
Tell you the highlights of their career, their
yeah.
struggles, significant impacts on the musical industry.
Yeah, and because it relates to us, we're going to mainly talk about the come up of these artists.
Mhm.
Obviously, because we are a coming up rock band,
We're hoping
Up
to
in Adelaide,
use
South
this energy
Australia.
to manifest our own come up.
Yeah, we're hoping.
manifest the yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Spotify, Apple Music, I believe we're on Deezer, we're on
Deezer?
YouTube, we're on
is-
all of these different streaming services. Go check it out. Stream the album
And
Pariah.
we're also on YouTube.
Yes.
I just said
yeah,
that.
we
Oh,
have
sorry.
we have a vlog series you can go watch if you
Yeah,
love hearing the
we've
sound
got
of our
vlog
voices.
series. So if you like more of the lifestyle stuff, you can go watch our vlogs and all that stuff.
Mhm.
We've got the whole PARIAH tour on camera.
PARIAH is our
currently.
debut album.
Debut
For
album.
anyone that doesn't know
Hint,
that,
Yeah, so
go check that out after
Yeah.
you hear about the story of Sabbath.
Yeah,
Yes.
but our tour was super fun.
it was
Oh
good.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
been very
Yeah.
good.
It's been very cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We got one more show on that.
We do. We
One
do.
more
Oh.
little leg.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and then we're
Alright.
done for the year.
Yeah, and we're
That's
done.
Yeah.
amazing.
So.
We should take a photo on stage after on the last show.
Hmm?
We should take a
Oh
photo.
yeah, commemorate. That
on
would be
stage.
cute.
Yeah.
On the
Mhm.
thingy-ma-doody. On the.
Do not talk about the
She really
project.
just-
I didn't
the-
talk about the
The
project.
project is
The
nothing.
project is nothing.
X.
Yeah,
Yes, I like
it's
that.
an X file.
No, it's Project C.
Hey.
Project Clover. Project C.
No, just
No, that sounds really bad.
Shit.
Yeah, just Project
you
X.
almost slipped.
I did.
project.
Wow, on the first episode of the podcast.
I'm very
Holly,
excited.
No less. Anyway, we should.
She's
We're
gonna
so
be-
off
She said
topic.
it on the thingy.
No.
We're just gonna cut it. We're gonna cut
We'll
it.
cut it.
Okay.
We'll just bleep that whole thing
Yeah.
out. Okay?
Let's get back on topic.
Yeah.
Okay,
back on
okay,
topic.
sorry.
They don't care. They want to hear about Sabbath. We're here to talk
Okay,
about Black
so
Sabbath.
the early life of
Sack Blabbeth.
Sack Blabbeth.
Sagma.
Right.
The blab.
Like
Let's stop.
like me.
It's too early for this on a Sunday.
Fucking hell.
Sorry.
Like me, Molly and Brad, they went to high school together. So
Not all of them.
Not all of them. So Tony Iommi and was it
Ozzy.
Ozzy Osbourne?
Yeah. I think Geezer went
Geezer.
as well.
Yeah.
I'm not
They all
100%
went.
clear on that, but yeah.
A lot of them went to high school together. Let's just say that.
Yes.
Okay. Tony Iommi. Let's paint the picture. Whoa, Brad. This is PG.
It's not that kind of podcast, bro.
Okay.
Take that to your
PG.
OnlyFans.
Brad's got an OnlyFans.
Yeah, shout out to
Yeah,
Brad.
shout out.
Brad Cole on OnlyFans.
Shout out to
Brad
Brad's
Turner.
dick, everybody.
No, we should call it Brad Turner turning you to.
Brad Turner turning you on.
Oh, stop.
Oh, dude.
It was
Lots of
brilliant.
views on that. I'd say there's so many.
That was horrible.
We don't need to be a band anymore. The podcast is done. I'm getting my funds from Bradley Turner.
Yeah, we'll
Turning us on.
we'll stay afloat through Bradley Turner's
Yeah.
turning you on point. Yeah.
Okay, back on topic.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
Early
Very
Lives
good.
of Sabbath. They went to high school together.
Yeah, so let's paint the picture here. So there were two significant bands around this time, and it was Mythology and it was Rare Breed.
Just
okay?
after they got out of high school.
Just
I
after
think,
high
yeah.
school. So Geezer at the time, his first name is Terrence Geezer Butler.
Terrence Geezer.
And the
What a-
reason
what a
why he
fancy
got
name.
his nickname was just because he called everybody Geezer
From, like,
the
age
age of
8,
8.
yeah.
Yeah. Now Geezer Butler and Ozzy Osbourne were in a band called Rare Breed.
But how they...
Shit name.
Yeah, it's a terrible
Really
name.
shit
I
name.
actually-
But you know
Don't
what's
mind the
even
name,
worse
but
is
it
how
is.
Ozzy
Well,
got
your
in
shit.
the... You know, even worse is how Ozzy got in the band Rare Breed. He
Yeah.
posted an ad in his local music store just saying Ozzy Zig needs gig.
Gig, yeah.
For no reason. Like,
Yeah.
no one knows why he was saying, calling himself
we
Ozzy
know
Zig.
why.
No
He
one.
was
He doesn't.
high as fuck.
Well, yeah, probably.
Mm.
Because he doesn't...
The fact that he says he doesn't know why just means he was high.
And I think Geezer had just that his band Rare Breed had just lost their singer,
Yeah.
and he saw this ad, so he just rocked up on Ozzy's doorstep. He was like, "Hey, we need a singer."
Yeah.
And Ozzy was like, didn't have anything going on, so we tried it out, and apparently they were so shit he quit
Yeah,
3 songs
they were
in,
really bad.
basically. And then Geezer quit the next day.
Yeah.
It all just like imploded
Yeah.
very
Oh,
very
that's so
quickly.
sad.
So-
Yeah, so
Well, it's not because it gave birth to Black Sabbath.
yeah,
Mm.
it got them connected.
So
But yeah, around that time, it was Bill Ward and
Tony
Tony
Iommi.
Iommi were in Mythology.
Mythology.
Which I thought was a
Another
cool
shit
name, but Archie
Just-
hates it,
it's
so I guess
just-
I'll
yeah.
just go fuck myself. But they got busted.
Not on camera.
I mean, it fits the theme, does it not?
Is this how we? Is this how we start our legacy of our podcast?
Yes.
Yeah.
OnlyFans.
Sex sells.
It's how Clover starts.
Sex sells.
It does.
God.
That's
I
how
mean,
the pop stars get their
I was
tits
gonna
out,
say,
bro.
isn't that how Black Sabbath made their name? They just had like the
Yeah, yeah.
no, not
What?
because of
No!
sex.
What?
No,
What site? What websites have you been
No.
We're
researching
telling
on?
the story, not you,
No,
Holly.
not because of sex. Because they had a lot of sex.
What are you talking about?
Are you telling me that there is an actual porn video out there titled
No,
Sack
yeah,
Blabbeth?
no, there isn't. No.
Christ.
Anyway,
Oh my God.
anyway.
Black Sabbath
Stop.
porno
Stop.
set.
You were saying about their high school joke.
They did
This is
feed
gonna be-
into
This is
the.
gonna be fucking like rated now.
Yeah. God, we're not off to a good start. No, but okay, so back on topic. Tony Iommi and Bill Ward, at the same time that Rare Breed were in a band called Mythology,
Yeah.
who also fell through it at the same time
Yeah.
as Rare Breed, but for a drug bust.
Yes.
They were busted smoking
They
weed.
were busted for weed.
Just smoking it, not dealing it, nothing, just smoking
And
it in their house.
The
They got
crazy
busted.
thing is, this was in the early to mid 60s, right?
About mid-60s,
So
yeah.
around that time, you had the Beatles, you had Jimi Hendrix, you had all of these big names, Eric Clapton,
Don't
and
mind
they
the
were
background falling
all doing cocaine, heroin.
LSD,
the Rolling
like a
Stones were doing
big-
LSD.
No!
Like, oh my god, they were doing all of these hard
And
drugs
Mythology fell through
because they got busted for weed.
for weed. And that back then, that was enough for venues to not book them anymore.
Yeah,
It
they-
gave them such a bad
They
name, it
just
ruined
didn't
them.
book them.
Yeah. So Iommi actually also saw Ozzy Zigneed's gig because he
Yes.
just left it up in the music
Yeah.
store. So he rocked up also on Ozzy's doorstep and opened the door. And like obviously no one's there to document this, but I thought like if it did happen, this would be hilarious. He opened the door and saw it was Ozzy and was like, "Oh fucking hell, not you!" Because he used to
Yeah.
beat him up in high school.
Yeah, Tony Iommi used to beat Ozzy up in high school.
Allegedly, I don't
So-
know if that's true,
Yeah.
but I think it's funny.
It's like how
That's
Brad
crazy.
used to beat me up in high school.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm fucking around.
If you mean rugby, I'll still drop you in rugby.
Oh.
Oh,
Wait,
shit.
Talking to the nearly professional rugby player.
do you remember, right? Fucking, it was... you were in this class, actually. It was humanities.
Oh yeah, you
And
got
we just started punching each other.
like just joking.
Like, just joking around. And Miss Giles, Miss Below,
Yeah.
right? She just goes, right, you two,
Detention, right?
withdrawal room.
Yeah.
And we just sat there for the rest of the lesson in withdrawal room. And she put on the little sheet that we were punching each other in class.
That's
we were fighting in
ridiculous.
class. It's like,
What a lame ass rock band.
yeah.
Got its attention for fake fighting.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know about you guys, but I didn't get any detention.
I didn't get
back
one
in school.
single
No.
detention.
Oh,
I was
you
such a
fucking
yeah.
model
I
student.
got one 5
Why aren't
minute
you
detention.
studying at uni then in like engineering or
Because
She's
something?
in a rock
Musician.
band.
Yeah.
Mrs. Model student.
Fuck off. No, I'm not smart because I'm a musician. Let's be
Anyway, this podcast
You
is
just
so
dis-
full of
you just
ADHD.
Discredited musicians. All musicians.
honest. It's fine. We can cut that out. Just
No, we
chill.
can't.
Yes, we can.
We're still
This is-
rolling.
this is
Let's
rolling.
go. Let's get back to
Okay.
the.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't even think we're gonna not even keep track of this story.
Yeah, this is hard. So Giza.
Well, no, we're on Iommi and
No, we're on everybody.
Oh,
We're just
fuck,
on
this is
everybody.
not good.
It's all right. Just we're on everybody.
yeah, no, we're talking about how Iommi was also rocked up on Ozzy's doorstep.
Yeah, we passed that though.
We just got to that. And then we
Oh,
gotta
oh, okay. Go on then.
keep on rolling.
Go on.
Do you want to tell the story of how he lost his
Oh, fuck,
fingers?
please.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So
Oh.
Jesus
Hot.
Christ. Oh my God.
Oh, I smell that. That's fucked. Oh,
Fuck's sake.
it smells really sweet like Red Bull.
So after what we'll say after high school, because we're assuming that they dropped out of high school early. Like
We're gonna assume.
yeah, we're gonna assume
Yeah.
I
because
don't
like
know.
because he was working in the sheet metal factory
Yeah,
during
at about
the early
17.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he was working in a sheet metal factory, and he what band was it? Because I think
It
he
didn't
was-
say. It didn't say what band, but
yeah,
he was,
but he was about to go on tour with another band.
He was gonna quit. It was the day he wanted to quit
his job.
factory job
Yeah.
to do music full time, and he was on a
Yeah.
machine. I think he was working a machine that he had. They just randomly put him on a machine that he hadn't
Yeah.
worked before, and it just chopped the ends of his
Chopped the
fingers.
end of his fingers
yeah,
off.
which is a bit shit. ruined
And he
his-
So
went
they couldn't
through.
save the fingers, or
Nah,
Nah,
not back
it was
then.
gone. He
Tony Iommi.
Tony Iommi. He went through like a bit of a depression in that time as well because he quit music for a while
Yeah,
because
he,
just
play anymore.
couldn't play
Yeah.
anymore. And he actually fashioned leather fingertips. It was like
Yeah,
out of
he
leather
made
or
it-
some sort of like fabric.
He made thimbles from melted fairy liquid bottles and glued leather onto the tips that he'd sanded down so that he could he made like prosthetic fingertips for
That's
himself so he could
crazy.
keep playing. He was inspired.
inspired.
That's too early. He was inspired by is it Django Reinhardt? Is that how you
Yes.
say the name?
Yes, because
Yeah.
he plays guitar with
Like
both
gypsy
fingers.
jazz guitar.
Yeah, and like with just two fingers.
Yeah, which is
He's-
incredible.
He's doing that. He
Yeah.
kind of like has his fucking fingers like that, and he's fucking playing like that. It's so
Crazy.
weird to watch.
And Iommi was like super depressed, and then a friend bought a Django Reinhardt record round to his house, and he started like getting into like, oh wow, if he can fret with 2 fingers, like why can't I? So he retaught himself guitar. I think he lower his strings. Oh, he loosened his strings.
He loosened his strings, and he also played with thinner gauges.
Yeah, so that he could, you know,
Yeah.
accommodate for his injury, which is
Now-
crazy because it totally revolutionized like a new style of guitar, all through a sheet metal accident.
Now-
Invented heavy metal.
A little fun fact about Tony Iommi. Obviously, Tony Iommi is famous for his left-handed SG,
Yes.
right? He didn't originally have that SG.
No.
The way that SG came about is, so what happened was Tony Iommi used to play a Strat. A
Oh, really?
Stratocaster, yeah.
I suppose they started as a blues band. So.
Yeah. So he used to play a Strat, and the way, because left-handed guitars weren't as popular back in the early.
Oh, did he play it
to
upside
late-
down?
No.
Oh,
So
I'll just let you tell the story.
So yeah, he played his Strat upside down,
Mhm.
and basically what happened was he met up with a guy that had a left-handed SG, but he was a right-handed player. So he
shit.
played this left-handed SG upside down.
No way.
And Tony Iommi played his Stratocaster.
Did they do
his
a Pokemon
right-handed
guitar
Strat? They did a Pokemon guitar
That's
trade.
so cool.
So they traded guitars for it to fit.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
It was,
I
it
didn't
was
actually
pretty
know
cool.
that.
Yeah.
That's
so
wicked.
it was either he traded another guitar and kept the Strat, because there were other stories that his Strat actually, his pickups fucked up in the studio, so he used this SG, because
Wow.
I don't think he originally wanted to use the SG as much,
Right.
and the
that
pickups
became,
fucked up. Yeah,
and then that became his signature guitar.
that became
That's
his signature
crazy.
guitar. So
That's awesome.
Wow. I love it that their whole early career is just like based on a bunch of coincidences and
bunch of mistakes
accidents
and fucking-
and,
yeah.
and that's how heavy metal
Yeah.
was invented.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's pretty cool.
Mm.
And another thing as well, I really like it because it's almost like he didn't choose the guitar.
The
The
guitar
guitar
chose
chose
him.
him. You know,
It's kind of what happened with your SG.
kind of.
Little
Well,
bit.
I was
Like
sort
you
of.
chose it, but you didn't. It wasn't your main guitar
No.
at first. It kind of grew on you, and then you.
I was playing.
I can't use
I was
anything
playing Les
else.
Pauls for a while, and then I wanted a Steve Vai Ibanez Gem.
I'm so glad we
Yeah,
talked you
with
out
the
of
Tree
that.
of Life fretboard and all that stuff. And I was
Terrible.
playing it in Derringers, and I was just like, oh, you know, it's cool. And then I looked over in the corner and I saw the SG. I was like,
That's it.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh. I went over to it and I played it, and it was like, that was it. I was like, yeah, I'm getting that. I completely forgot about the gem. I only played the thing once, and I said, this is the one I want.
Yeah,
That's
that's
crazy.
That's awesome.
So-
That's so
That's
Yeah.
how guitarists normally get their best guitars. It
Yeah.
kind of chooses them.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, now that SG play it in every gig, it's my favorite guitar and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So it's
Anyway,
pretty cool.
coming back to Sabbath.
Yeah,
That,
yeah.
that all leads us back to Tony Iommi. Wow, I can't.
Tony
Tony.
Yeah.
Tony Iommi
Alright.
back on back on Ozzy's doorstep with Bill Ward because
Yeah.
they rocked up together because they wanted a new band.
Yeah.
And obviously he'd beat Ozzy up in high school, so he wasn't thrilled on working with him. But it was hard to get gear back then, so the only reason they ended up working together was because Ozzy had a PA. What's with
Oh no,
you?
she just fucking
Are
like.
you staring
looked
at me?
I
I
know.
thought you guys
Anyway.
were staring. Okay.
It was
My
because
God.
Ozzy had a PA and a microphone. That's the only reason they
Yeah.
ended up working together
Yeah, 'cause he had
originally,
gear.
and
He
then
had
they
all the
became
gear.
friends. But
Yeah.
yeah, they
It's
stuck
kind of
it
like
out.
you. You just had all the gear, eh?
Yeah, but you liked me. Fuck you.
I remember the first time we ever like did a rehearsal. You were just like, nah, show up at my house. I've got the drum kit and all the gear. Like, I can provide everything. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, this girl's rich or something.
No, it was just Dad's collected it over. You know
Yeah.
what was funny? You rocked up and I was like wanting to be in like I'd just come out of kind of like a hobby band, and I was like I want this to be serious.
Yeah.
I was like, so if you can commit, that would be great. And you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, my main priorities, man, are just going to be rugby and my girlfriend, but I can make it work.
Yeah.
Did you say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First rehearsal.
Fuck, my life has changed.
He also said he didn't want to play the blues.
I did.
He refused to learn a blues scale.
I
It's terrible.
refused to solo for a while.
You did, yeah. And then you discovered Tony Iommi.
Black Sabbath
Can
and all
say
that
his
stuff.
name.
Black Sabbath. Tony Iommi.
But yeah, so then
Lab.
that kind of then they got back in touch with Geezer,
Yeah.
and he was a rhythm guitarist in Breed, a Rare Breed, not Breed. Rare
Yeah,
Breed,
yeah, so-
wasn't he?
With Geezer was originally a guitarist and a lyricist.
Yes.
So Geezer was very inspired by the occult. So there's an occultist called Aleister Crowley, right?
Yeah, that
he-
inspired Sabbath's early days,
Yeah.
didn't?
So
Yeah.
he wrote a lot of books on like the occult and all of the weird religion shit. I don't really know what it is.
No.
I've done a little bit of research. He wrote a few books. He was also like
He's
a
around like the 1800s, so he did that. Like,
yeah.
old
So he
style,
he got quite into philosophy, and he's also a mountaineer. So he had a pretty good life.
Mountaineer.
A mountaineer. Yeah. So he's
Fuck
had
is
a
that?
pretty good life.
Can I ask what that is?
like they go on expeditions and stuff like that.
Oh,
like
Also, a lot
mountaineering.
of traveling.
Yeah, traveling and all that
Awesome.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Climbing mountains.
yeah, like they
Explore.
go on big
Mountaineer.
expeditions and stuff like that.
So that just reminds me of a mountain goat. Just reminds me of like.
Well,
humans,
they
but,
pretty much are fucking
you know,
mountain goats.
jumping on the mountains.
Yeah. or like in Battle of Five Armies when they're all the fucking.
Oh, yeah, dude, on the
that's,
go-
that's
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
That's fucking sick.
But yeah, so
Um,
he inspired Geezer's whole style. coming
whole
into the
style
band.
of
Yeah.
like writing lyrics and stuff like that. He was also very inspired by John Lennon's rhythm guitar playing.
Because he ended up moving to bass because Iommi was
Just-
like
yeah,
very clear that he was like, I'm the only guitarist in this band.
yeah,
A bit like you.
yeah.
But yeah, so then Geezer was like, okay, I'll go on bass. But then he kind of revolutionized the style of playing the bass
Yes.
like a guitar, like a
Mhm.
rhythm guitar. Because Sabbath 4-piece,
Yeah,
so he's got to fill out that whole
yeah.
rhythm section
Mhm.
because he doesn't have another guitar to fall back on. But yeah.
What we don't know is that there were two unconfirmed members.
Oh, there were in the
Other
early days, yeah.
unconfirmed members of Black Sabbath.
Why did no one find out? who
Because
Because
they
they
were?
didn't last very long at all.
Oh.
So
okay.
they briefly had two players, Jimmy Phillips and Alan Clark.
They played
Who
steel
plays-
guitar
yeah,
and
steel
saxophone.
guitar
I
and
cut you off.
saxophone.
I got
Was that the
excited.
band Earth?
No, that was
this
it before Earth.
This was before
Yeah.
Earth.
Oh
this was,
shit.
This was in the Polka Talk Blues
Yeah.
Band.
So this was like very early days. They
Yeah.
did one little trip up to Carlisle, and they were called Polka Talk, which was based on a brand of talcum powder that Ozzy's mum used. And they saw it in the can and like, yeah, we're Polka Talk Blues Company, but that's like a fucking mouthful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So they
amazing.
shortened it to Polka Talk, and they went up to Carlisle, and Iommi said he hated it. He was like, no one was taking them seriously. They were just pissing about. They sounded like shit. He was like, we've got a saxophone player, like, but not a whole brass section, and that's kind of shit.
Yeah.
But like Bill Ward, being a typical drummer, was like, no, I was loving it, man. I was just having a great time. He was just there for the music.
He's
which
quite
I
jazz
love.
influenced as well, isn't he? Though?
Yeah, and he was just totally there for the music. Like, didn't give a shit. He was
Yeah.
having fun. I think that's pretty
I
cool.
think it's awesome. A lot of these awesome fucking like massive drummer like
They're all
rock drummers.
jazz
They're all
drummers.
jazz.
Oh yeah, because that's what they had to go on back
Yeah.
then.
Because all of this like circular drumming where they just smash everything.
It all comes from
It
jazz.
all comes from
Yeah.
jazz.
It's
Because you hear a lot of the old jazz players. Like I don't know many jazz drummers,
Yeah,
but
big
all the
like
ones I've
Buddy
listened
Rich.
to, they are all just super quick and
They got all
just
the chops.
yeah, they've got all the chops. And when you hear it, it's just a lighter version of what rock players are doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. It's,
Rock
yeah, and
players
that's what Bill Ward
obviously are
was.
quite dumbed down in the
Oh,
drumming.
they just it's,
but
you
it's
go- well,
no,
they,
but
they
it's
just pick
not
and
as-
choose their
it-
moments.
They like they're not doing it constantly.
Bill
Whereas
Ward
jazz,
is-
jazz drummers do it for the whole song, whereas
Mm.
the rock drummers they pick their moments more, like what Molly said.
Yeah.
I personally like that a bit better
Mm.
because you hear that one moment in that song.
It's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Bill Ward was a master at
Yeah.
that. He's one of the most underrated drummers of all
His drumming
time.
in War Pigs is amazing.
Incredible. yeah.
Incredible.
But yeah, so they did a trip up to Carlisle as Polka Talk Blues Company. And on the way back, they fired the other two members. So they went up there, and it was how awkward would that car
Yeah.
ride have been? That's when they fired them. Like, no, they didn't even wait till they got home. They
Oh,
fired,
really?
Oh,
they fired
shit.
Jimmy Phillips and Alan Clark, and just
Yeah.
went 4-piece. And they hated the name. Bill Ward loved the band, but he hated the name. So I think, it was Bill Ward. Hang on, let me. Yeah, he suggested they change the name to Earth.
Yeah.
Well, it was Earth Blues Company
Yeah.
again. They kept the Blues Company, but then they dropped that as well because it's
Earth.
Earth.
Yeah.
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 I honestly, I like that better than the other one.
Well, Polka
Yeah.
Talk went through two phases. It went from Polka Talk Blues Band or Blues Company to just Polka Talk.
Mm.
So they shortened the name and then they just completely got rid of it.
Yeah,
and
they were
changed
like,
to
no
Earth.
one's taking us seriously. Let's call ourselves Earth.
Earth.
And that's that was the first turning point, I think,
Yeah.
for them. Like, they weren't Sabbath yet. They were still Earth, but when they came back and renamed themselves, they learnt a bunch of blues covers. You know what I think's crazy is they didn't even know who they were learning.
Yeah.
In interviews, they didn't know who they were covering. Like,
Yeah.
they would just, a friend would just bring a record round and they'd be like, oh, I love that song, and they'd learn
Yeah.
it and have no idea. So people were like, oh, so who did you cover back in the day? And they're like,
Yeah.
I don't know, we just like the music.
Yeah.
So they only
It's
learnt
crazy.
it because they love the music and not
Yeah.
because of the artist.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, they
very
didn't know
cool.
the names. But
Yeah,
then,
that's
so they learned a bunch of blues covers. And they started getting better gigs than when they were Polka Talk because they'd stepped themselves up. But they were kind of just generic sort of blues
Yeah,
cover
just
band.
just
They
a sort,
weren't,
you know.
they weren't anything special. They weren't
No.
Sabbath yet, but they were good. They were good
Yeah.
at what they did.
And it was weird because, like, I've done a bit of research on this as well. Cover bands on the UK scene back then were actually quite big.
Yeah, you can
Like,
make a whole. They were
you'd
full-time
have
musicians.
a lot of
It's crazy.
copiers. Like, obviously the Beatles were massive, and I actually know a cover band from the '60s. It's one of my family members. They're distant relative, like family
Oh,
members.
Yeah.
Are at, like a '60s blues band. When I went over last year to the UK, they were actually talking to me about what life was like back in the '60s and playing music. And they had some really cool stories. And basically, what they would do is they would come off the cusp of the Beatles. So, what would happen? The Beatles got massive, and then they started covering Beatles stuff because it would get them really good money. Because people wanted to hear Beatles songs, but the people who couldn't afford to see the Beatles
We go to the
sit in the local pubs and
Oh,
listen
that's
to
awesome.
another.
Because you
know,
also
people
can't
do it.
just like stick Spotify on.
No.
and
Well,
shit
yeah.
like
No,
that if you don't have a CD
like,
player.
you know,
like,
records
record player,
weren't
sorry.
the same, you know. So like, they'd actually go to these, you know,
Mm.
cover gigs and see, you know, and like, they were even telling stories of girls would actually, like the Beatles, would throw their fucking underwear at them. They weren't
At
even
the cover band.
Yeah, they weren't
No
even the
shit.
Beatles, but they would
Wow.
still do it.
That's
awesome.
insane.
That's so cool.
So-
Wow. So no wonder Earth, when they were
Yeah,
did well
yeah,
as a
like,
cover band.
The cover
yeah.
game was massive.
Wow. Because they were
Because-
full-time musicians at that point.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
quit all their day jobs.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I'm talking about the cover game. I'm not talking about the tribute game.
Mm.
Like, the tribute game obviously came later on, but the cover game was
Yeah.
big back then.
Yeah,
you
well,
know?
they didn't have many forms of entertainment.
Yeah, like they were
different
just
world,
like
man.
these cover bands. They were their band. They weren't trying to be the Beatles or something like that. They were their band, but they were just performing covers.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Did they play any originals, or does it all just...
They did. They mixed
I don't
in.
know,
Well,
yeah.
or Sabbath did.
Sabbath
That's kind of
did,
how
yeah.
they started,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
not at this point in their career. They were
Yeah.
still just doing just the generic
playing
covers.
for the sake of playing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's where they got their first big break. Like
Yeah.
I'd say, like they've established themselves as a good band,
Hmm.
but their first big break kind of came when, as Earth, they
Yeah.
supported Jethro Tull.
Yeah.
That was in 1968.
Yeah.
That was
And-
huge for them.
Hey, I've been seeing a lot of comments and stuff like that in my research about how Tony Iommi is really, really loyal and a consistent member and all that
Mhm.
stuff, but my guy left.
He did, but he didn't want to. It was actually
Yeah.
the rest of the band
Yeah, it
that
was-
pushed him into
yeah.
it. They were like, because Jethro Tull were big at the time. They were just kind of coming up
Yeah.
and finding their feet as a big blues band, and so it was kind of Iommi's dream to
Yeah.
be his guitarist, but he wasn't going to leave Sabbath, who weren't going anywhere at the time, and all the other members were like, "You fucking idiot, go for it!
Yeah.
Like this is what you've wanted."
Yeah.
Which. I can't say I'd have the same sentiment.
No.
I mean, I would. It's hard, but if one of
It's-
you guys left the band, it would.
I was going to say,
Suck.
especially when you're in that rough spot of making it.
Yeah,
then-
and then
then-
someone leaves.
Oh, that's
That was it.
tough,
Like
yeah.
they disbanded for 2 weeks
Yeah.
because spoiler, he only lasted 2 weeks with
Yeah.
Jethro Tull.
Wow.
So not very long at all because he didn't like the. It was Ian Anderson kept himself. He was the front man, the guy with the flute. If you've
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
him.
yeah.
And he was actually while Iommi was with Jethro Tull, there's the only. It's kind of cool because it's before he was even famous, but the only video evidence is on Rolling Stone's Rock and Roll Circus. That's what it was called.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and you can actually see Iommi in the back.
He's wearing a white cowboy
Yeah.
hat. Yeah.
That's so
But yeah, he lasted 2 weeks, and then he hated how Ian Anderson kept himself very separate and would kind of come in and just tell the band what to do, and they'd just kind of fit in their spots. But it didn't feel like a band. You didn't have that friendship and that camaraderie.
that,
so
that bond, yeah.
yeah.
Because a lot of that stuff is professional. Like,
Mm.
I've thought about it, and people have asked me this question. They've said, like, you know, obviously you're in Clover now, but if Guns N' Roses came to you and says, "I want you to be our guitarist," would you take it? And I've thought about it, and I kind of say to people, no.
Because then you'd just be a guitarist. You wouldn't be
Yes,
like
exactly. And that side of music is so cutthroat.
Yeah.
And because if you're not filling the shoes, they've got 20 other guitarists
Lined up.
that can do the exact
Yep.
same thing as you.
And as soon as you're not on tour, you're fucked. Like,
Yeah.
you have to go back and work a day job,
Yeah.
basically.
Because
Crazy.
you're filling, obviously, so say if Slash died or something, right? You're filling Slash's shoes. So if you're not cutting Slash, they'll get 20 other people that have probably worked their whole entire life to cover Slash. And they will do it just as good as you, if not better. And if so even if you're not cutting it for one gig, they'll just get rid of you.
Well,
Yeah.
Because they've got 20 other people on standby.
Mm.
Well, that's it. It's like you know, like let me think. when Freddie Mercury died, they got Adam Lambert to
Yeah.
fill his shoes,
Yeah.
and he does a great job. But there's just something about Freddie that was just
Yeah.
just iconic. You know
Good
what I
thing
mean?
about Adam Lambert though, and I think it's the reason why he stuck around so much, is that he puts his own
He
spin
makes it
on
his
it.
own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he does
Absolutely.
kind of fill the shoes.
Yeah,
in a
That's
way.
it.
So
But I wouldn't do that. Like, I understand why Iommi came back to his band
Yeah.
because you don't get that same creativity. You don't
don't.
get the like a friendship is the basis of a band.
Yeah.
If we all hated each other, I'd quit.
Yeah.
I was gonna. That's what I've said. I've said like on tour, we've become, I feel like, closer than before.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
We've got on each other's nerves, but
Yeah,
you know, of
definitely
course.
that as well.
And we have that kind of, even if though it's people, I don't know how people do it. They go on tour for 6 months straight. I guess that's why they have their own rooms in the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of have to zone out and then
Yeah.
come back in.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been great.
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so he came back and he kind of
back.
hit up Geezer and he was like, "Hey, we're gonna do this, but like, I've just come back from something big. Like, it
He
could have
learnt
been
a
career."
lot.
He did.
He
In
learnt
just
a
that
lot.
2 weeks, he learned a lot about. Like, it's on the one hand, he hated that there was no friendship and how everyone was like separate and it didn't feel like a band, but he really respected the professionalism.
Yeah.
And like Ian Anderson would come in, like crack the whip and get them moving and be like, "Come on, this is a job. We've got to like fire up
Yeah.
and do shit." So he brought that mindset back to Sabbath. That's when they started writing their own stuff, and that's when they became Sabbath.
Yep.
Was kind of that was their turning point. They started rehearsing. They'd get up 9 o'clock in the morning. They would rehearse until 12. They would take a lunch break, and then they would just rehearse for the rest of the day. And
Yeah.
they'd do that every day.
Every day.
Apparently, Geezer hated getting up early, which is
Yeah, they
like us.
they couldn't get Geezer up.
Yeah.
It was quite funny.
Mhm.
Like
I
yeah,
feel
like
that.
us. Molly got up at 5:30. I woke up at about
Horrible.
7:20 because she was getting here
Yeah.
at 7:30.
And the only reason he got out of bed was because I was bringing coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, I said yesterday, I was like, "Oh, yeah, we can get up that early, but you have to bring me a coffee."
Which is fair enough.
So, yeah.
But
But
yeah.
I don't know, like I just feel like musicians should be like that.
That work ethic.
That work ethic.
You need
but
to. It's a fine line between a job and having
it's
fun.
so hard to do
Mm.
because it's not actually a job.
It is, but it's so much more than that because it's your whole life.
Yeah.
And I find if we just treated it like a job, I wouldn't be able to write songs. I wouldn't be able to
But
be
what
creative.
I
Yeah,
mean
I-
is though,
I-
what
I-
I mean is though,
Yeah.
is that you don't get paid. Do
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
you know,
dude,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? So
I know,
it's so
yeah.
hard, especially like for musicians older than us that don't have like kids and all that shit.
Mhm.
I mean, that have kids, sorry, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, she's
Archie's dog's
here.
cracking the shit.
Oh no.
You can't
It's okay,
see, but
Willow. It's okay, Baba.
you can't
She
see.
might need it.
No, she wants to come and tear apart our set.
She's cracking the shits. Oh, she might need a shit. Oh god. Yeah, but like, you know, they can't do that because they've got work. They've got work commitments and stuff
Yeah,
like that. So
it's hard enough for us.
there's a fine line between like trying to balance it and stuff. You know.
Well, yeah,
Pop a squat inside.
Yeah.
No, she's well trained.
Nah, she won't
Well,
pop squat.
Well, yeah, what I was gonna say was it's fuck's sake. It's hard. It was hard enough for us doing full-time work Monday to Friday, and then
Yeah.
doing the weekends, and then I don't know about you guys. I had to go back 6
On the
a.m.
yeah.
Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would
And then
work
again,
until
and
Thursday.
again.
We'd go away Friday to Sunday, and then I would start. I'd be up again at 5. Like
Yeah,
you
that's
for
it.
work
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
day. It's horrible. Did that for like 2 months,
Especially we're doing,
and I just wanted to die.
No, me too.
especially when we were doing the interstate side of our tour. Like
That
that
was
got
rough.
difficult.
The
I
19
burnt
Sydney?
myself.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I was
Yeah.
gonna say the 19-hour drive just up on the way was
Yeah.
that was tough.
Yeah,
But was it 14-hour drive back as well?
it was like 18 hours back.
Yeah.
Was it
probably.
18?
It was long.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
tough. But no,
But Melbourne was hard as well because we drove there. I think I did all the driving because I was really stubborn. I was like, no, I'm driving
you
the whole
did.
thing. So I was like 9 hours, and then I had work 7 a.m. the next day, and we got
Yeah.
home at like 9:30 that night.
Yeah,
I
it
had
was
to
bad.
unpack the car. It was
bad.
terrible. Anyway,
Back onto Black Sabbath again.
they did it tough as well.
So-
They did it
They
tougher
did.
than us.
When they became Earth, they started.
Complaining about that.
When they became Earth, they started gaining a bit more popularity, and a man called Jim Simpson
oh yeah,
offered them a regular spot at Henry's Blues House.
Was that-
Did you talk about that? But just before?
no, I didn't.
Okay.
Was that before Jethro Tull? Before
don't know.
Naomi left?
I'm not
Or
sure.
when he came
It's a
back?
bit. It's a
It
bit
was
blurry.
all around the same time. Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's when they came back because I'm assuming then Tony Iommi started taking things a bit seriously.
Yeah. And he
So-
gave them a residency at Blues House.
Residency at Blues House, and he actually later offered to manage them as well.
Mm.
So, paint the picture. They've got a manager now. they're starting to find their identity a bit more within the band Earth, and they've got a regular spot. So that's making good money. So that's funding the fact that they don't have jobs and they're rehearsing 5 times a week, 9 to 5 and
They
stuff
still
like that.
like scraped by like.
Oh yeah, of course.
Though,
like there's
not
still
good
not much money in it. Yeah,
yeah.
it's not good money, but
It was enough to get by.
Yeah,
But
I'm assuming they all agreed, or didn't even need to agree. That was where it was going. So
and that's kind of when they wrote their first song, which was
kind of the band Earth. This is where they tried to start getting their identity, because they wrote the song Black Sabbath, which obviously going back to Geezer's early days, he was very influenced by the occult.
It's one of the most fascinating stories, I think, behind like how a song was
I'll
written.
let you tell it because you know it a bit more than me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. I feel like I just I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hijack your story.
Right,
I was just gonna. Okay.
Now you know this part more than me though.
Okay, fair enough. Because I researched, because I was like, I read it on, I think I was just reading the lyrics one day for the song, so I wanted to know what it was about. And then I read the full story and I was like, oh, dude, that's fucking crazy. Because obviously Geezer Butler was very influenced by the occult. And I think they were living together, right? Like Geezer was living with Ozzy at the time. And Ozzy gifted him this book on the dark arts, and like it had like inverted crosses and like Satanist imagery all through it. And he was reading it one night and he put it up on his mantelpiece. When he went to bed and he woke up in the middle of the night and he saw this black figure just standing at the end of his bed staring at him. He leapt out of the bed, went over to the mantelpiece, book's gone, disappeared. I don't think he ever saw it again. It was just fucking gone.
It's probably Ozzy.
It was probably Ozzy just getting up for a piss or something.
Let's be
You're
honest.
Mate.
You're right. It's like, can I have that book back?
But anyway, he thought he'd just been visited by the devil.
Sharon, where's the fucking remote?
But anyway, yeah, so that was kind of, I think, took a massive step back from the dark arts after that because he shit his pants.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah,
just
I
after
mean,
that
yeah.
experience, he came in, he told the band about it, and they were doing one of their early morning jam sessions, and he was trying to play the first movement of, I forget what it's called. It was a classical piece on his bass, and it kind of inspired Iommi to start writing this like really sludgy, like slow, doomy riff, and then Ozzy just starts spitting out these lyrics completely, because Geezer wrote most of the lyrics after that, but this first song, Ozzy wrote them all on the spot, just started talking about this like figure in black.
Damn, I wish Holly could do that. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But yeah, it was so cool because he was just like saying like
She can. She wrote the lyrics for Take 26 in like 2 minutes.
That's true.
Hey.
No, you wrote a lot of your lyrics on the spot,
Yeah.
I think.
I did. I enjoyed feeling the music, and then the lyrics come after. It's good fun.
But yeah, he
Yeah.
just started talking about figure in black,
Yeah.
like staring at me and stuff about like the chosen one and stuff, and then that became the song Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
And they had to run that top to front, what top
Top
to bottom,
front.
top to front. No, like all the way through 2 hours straight because they didn't have a tape recorder. So the entire birth of heavy metal was totally hinging on them not forgetting this song, basically, because they could have just like we would be fucked if
I
that
was
was
gonna
us.
say,
Yeah.
as a band, we'd be fucked.
Like 30 seconds into writing a song,
I
like
think we
quick,
forgot
get the
riff we did
phone
last
on.
week.
Well,
Nah, I
we
recorded it.
Yeah.
We chill.
So we
Us
record
yeah.
everything because
No,
we've
but I've still
forgotten
forgotten
so
it.
much.
Yo, just be careful with the you're stepping on the table
I am too.
and it's
Oh.
like moving the camera.
Oh, it is too.
Yeah, it's all
My
good.
bad.
Fucking hell.
Fucking
I
Molly, Jesus
apologise.
Christ.
Sorry, I was just really into the story
Nah,
about
it's
this
okay.
black figure. But yeah, so they ran it for 2 hours straight so they'd remember it.
Yeah.
And they kind of like, fuck, we're onto something here. This isn't like anything we've ever heard before. And if you've heard the song Black Sabbath, which I'm assuming you probably have,
If you haven't,
Yeah,
Go listen
it's
to it.
kind of
listen to it.
it's
If
one
you
of the best
haven't,
songs
why
ever
the
written.
fuck are
Kind
you
of
watching
famous.
this
Yeah,
podcast?
exactly.
Literally.
But yeah, it's like they knew it was like nothing they'd ever heard before. So they chucked it in their set immediately. So they're playing this blues set of like standard blues covers, and then they come out with Black Sabbath, which is like this
Yeah.
heavy metal song.
People were a bit rattled.
They were. They fucking apparently all the girls in the first time they played it live, all the girls bolted out the venue, and then Ozzy was like, "But isn't the whole point of being in a band to get a shag?" He was really disappointed because all the girls were scared. But apparently, like everyone else was just stood like in a trance, like they just rooted to their spot, and then they all just erupted into applause when the song ended. They didn't know what to do, and then as soon as the song ended, they're like, "Fuck, what was that?" And they just
Kind of
went
like
crazy.
us, genuinely.
Genuinely.
Like our
People
first
don't know
gigs,
how to-
people didn't
yeah.
move.
And we were like, I was unnerved. I was like, fuck, they hate it. They don't like it.
But
then,
they come up to us and we're like,
yeah.
we didn't know how to react to that. Like, that was
Well-
so good.
Yeah, well, our first gig was the Jade here in Adelaide, and that was the first gig with me.
Yeah, crazy.
I wore my blue jeans and white t-shirt.
Yeah, we didn't look very rock.
Yeah,
and
no.
we barely moved as well.
Yeah.
Not so much that, because people were sitting down.
Yeah.
But I remember
COVID,
when
yeah.
we played... it was 2021 when we played the Crown and Anchor for
Yeah.
Lola's Fuck It single launch.
Yeah.
When we did that, people didn't move.
Which
Is that
was
when that guy came up to us and he tipped the beer on the ground to fall
Yes.
through,
Yeah.
sung War?
Because it was one
Yeah,
of the first
wow.
times we played War,
Mm.
and people didn't move. But and I thought the same thing. I was like,
Yeah.
shit, like
'Cause
no
there was
one
a
likes
punk
us.
band that played on before us,
Yeah.
Lickety Split,
Yeah.
and everyone was moshing to them. Like the crowd was super
Yeah.
ramped up. We're like, cool, this is a high energy
Yeah.
crowd, and coming off COVID, we're like, everyone can
Yeah.
dance and stuff,
Yeah.
and then no one moved.
Yeah,
I was
but
like, fuck.
so many people came up to
Yeah.
us and were like, that was fucking amazing.
And they just didn't know what to do with our music.
yeah,
So when I heard that Sabbath was the same, I was like,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
makes me feel better.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I feel
Mm.
like with Sabbath's music, I don't know about you guys, but I don't dance to Sabbath's music. I
No.
just sit there.
I don't even
and
headbang.
take it
You just
in.
listen.
You just listen because it's a journey,
Mm.
and I feel like that with our music as well. It's a show.
It's an experience,
It's an
right? You've said that,
experience.
Holly. You,
Well,
like-
yeah, but I was going to say, people don't really feel the full effect or the full passion of us until they see us on stage. I
Yeah.
feel like it's a whole different experience on
Mm.
stage.
Don't discredit our recorded
I
stuff.
love the recordings,
No, but
right?
it's just a
fuck?
different
I
experience.
love the
I know.
recordings, but even on our music videos, you can see it, but live, you can just like exactly.
it's Brad
What, me?
Sexy. It's Brad Turner
Me and
turning
Brad.
people
No,
on.
everyone goes. Everyone goes for Brad. Let's be honest.
Bass players get chicks.
No, but I was gonna say, even when you watch the music videos, you see it, but until you see us live, you can't feel it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. And
That-
Sabbath were the same. They were like live. Everyone was just blown away, and that was like that's when they changed. Oh, because they just after that all happened, didn't they got you tell the story of how they got double booked?
Oh yeah, so
how they changed their name.
yeah, as Earth.
They're
So they
still
got
called Earth.
double booked as Earth, and then you thought it was another band called Earth, because there were two bands at the time apparently called Earth, right?
Oh, what are the?
I know I'm
chances?
saying Earth a lot, but so
Take
Earth,
a shot every time I
Earth
says
got
Earth.
booked for
Earth.
Earth, the other Earth. They thought they were the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
Earth,
yeah.
so then the other Earth didn't play the gig, so then the other Earth got ridiculed for it.
What's ridiculed me?
Sabbath Earth got ridiculed.
Sabbath,
that was your takeaway, Holly.
Sabbath
Sabbath
got.
Sabbath.
Sabbath.
But yeah, so
Birth.
the venue kind of was like, "What the fuck are you guys? You guys are fucking shit," and all of this stuff. So like, oh, maybe we should change our name, and they changed their name to Black Sabbath,
'Cause they thought
which
that was
is also based off of a Boris Karloff movie.
horror
called
movie.
It's Black Sabbath.
Yes, and that was a big influence on them as well because
Yeah.
they saw one day when they were
Wow.
they saw all these people. Shut up, you guys.
Sorry, Molly, go on.
That's okay. They saw all these people lined up to see a horror movie,
Yeah.
and it was like way more people than were lined up to see the band. And
Yeah.
they're like, "Why are people paying money to scare themselves?" Which I feel that after
Wow.
watching the new Exorcist movie.
Yeah, that was.
Why
Yeah.
are we paying
Why do we
money
pay
to
money to
scare
see this shit?
ourselves?
Shout out to Maddie or Matt. Sorry if you guys know him as Matt. He. No. I'm just saying.
Matt.
Matthew.
Matthew
Matty.
Steele.
Matty.
Yes.
He said, "Oh, it was mid.
Mid.
It was
was
mid. It was
Yeah.
mid.
It was terrible,
Yeah.
but it
You-
still
the
scared
biggest
We
jump
were
scare
sitting-
of
we-
that movie
Was the
was
snake.
No,
Oh.
it was Matt at the start of the movie. So he sits down. Next minute, he just goes. I'm like, whoa! I was like, what the
me. It was
fuck?
a shadow figure.
Yeah, I was like, he just went. I'm like, fuck! He scared the shit out of me. He's like, it just like the movie starts. I was like, what the fuck? It was great.
But yeah,
Anyway, yes, horror movie. Yes.
yeah, and that's how they kind of. Then they were like, "Wow, people are paying to scare themselves. Maybe we can turn that into music. We're kind of going in that direction."
Yeah.
And then that's like, then it all of the puzzle pieces, like up to this point, it's like they've been laying out all the puzzle pieces, and they all just click together. And
Yeah.
It's like boom.
Yeah.
Now we've got Sabbath, and like, I think Jim Simpson, the manager, was like, "Don't, Jimmy Simpson."
Simo.
He told them not to change their name to Black Sabbath because he was like, nah, this is a mistake, which is quite common in any revolutionary band. They've been told, it's how Led Zeppelin got their name. Oh, you're going to go down like a Led Zeppelin. And like, let's just call ourselves Led Zeppelin. Sabbath was the same. Like, no, I think this direction you're going in is a mistake. But they're like, fuck you, we're onto something.
We're super lame compared to them then.
Crimson and Clover.
Crimson and Clover.
Yeah, we'll save that story. We'll tell it later.
Christ.
But But yeah, so then they kind of took the horror direction, and then it's boom. This is Black Sabbath.
Bang, Black Sabbath.
Yeah, and they
So
threw together an album.
an album in a day.
Oh yeah, they recorded the whole thing in 8 hours.
crazy.
Their first album. Yeah, which is another thing that like is similar between us, and then we took huge inspiration from that for our first album. EP. Sorry, not
EP.
album.
Yeah.
For our EP. I apologize. Because we were super broke and we're like, fuck, we can't afford studio time. And then I read up on how Sabbath did their first album. I was like, maybe we can just do that.
Well, yeah, because
And we tried, but I think I love the EP, but I think we fell
We didn't
short
quite
of
capture
Sabbath.
it.
Can we pause this? I really need to pee.
We're gonna take a piss break.
My bladder is really
Give me a
hurting.
sec.
Okay, go for it.
Oh, I should have
We'll just leave it
before
rolling.
the
podcast.
I'll edit this out.
You did not. You did not. Fuck.
All right.
Okay.
Anyway,
we're not
Yeah.
going to repeat
back
what
to the
Brad just
story.
said.
Back to the story. We are on track. We don't have ADHD.
Yes, we
Never.
do.
We don't have that.
Diagnosed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a guy called Roger Bain
Oh yeah, he was
produced Black Sabbath.
Yeah, I was just going to do that, yeah.
Oh, Bane.
For fuck's sake,
Anyway,
guys.
okay, Bane.
You're making
Roger
me
Bane.
you're getting me carried away.
Roger Bane.
Roger Bain.
Stop, bro.
Oh, it's a squirrel.
Not Bane from Batman.
Bodger Rain.
Roger Bane.
Stop.
Right? Roger Bain also worked on Judas
What?
Priest.
A Puda Street. Oh, Brad's going to
Brad's got Red Bull.
Oh, it's coming out of his nose. Oh,
We are professionals.
Oh.
he's dying.
Right, he also worked on Judas Priest, right?
Yes.
Snorted Red Bull.
Wait, did you guys hear that? The camera just went off?
What?
Huh?
There's a little
Memory
blink.
card
Memory card
full.
full. And we're back.
Yeah, and we're back.
Off.
All right, so back onto Black Sabbath. So yeah, Roger Bain produced the album.
Yes.
Yes, the album.
Get your train of
And-
thought.
Yeah, Roger Bain produced the album.
Mhm.
Obviously, it was done in a day. and
Yeah,
all
they
that
just
stuff.
rolled up to it. It was like a really little, shitty, like backdoor little studio as well.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
And they just rolled up with their live, like with their gear for their live set.
Yeah.
Plugged in, and they
Bang.
played through the whole 10 songs. On that
10
album?
songs.
Yeah, and they just did the whole thing, 8 hours, like ran through it once. The only overdubs on that album, they didn't double track anything except for 2 guitar solos
Mm.
on.
10 songs in 8 hours.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
less than 1 song an hour.
Mm-hmm. They were
Iommi's
quick.
was
man.
awesome as well because he double tracks his guitar solos.
There was 2 guitar solos on the album that they double tracked.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Or was it The Wizard or
Yeah.
NIB?
Yeah.
Stop.
What does NIB stand for? What actually is that?
That's a good question.
Uh,
I'm
Yeah, what
not
is-
sure.
I don't actually know.
No, I was too busy on how
No
how
one
long
knows
they
what
were.
NIB
I don't
stands
know.
for.
I don't fucking care.
But yeah,
NIB's nib. Just call it nib.
Nib.
Hey, Brad, put nib on. You know what it means.
but yeah. So they recorded
Brad, give me your nib.
the whole thing in 8 hours. They double tracked 2 guitar solos, and they put the effects of the thunderstorm and the bell tolling at the start of Black Sabbath, and that was it. That was the only effects they added to the
Yeah.
entire album. They
That-
just wanted the
that's
music.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
With the
didn't double
whole-
track the vocals or the guitars. Like it's crazy.
With
man.
the whole double tracking the guitar solos and stuff,
Mhm.
right? I remember when we were in the studio recording Pariah, right? I said to Andy, I was like, hey, Andy, do you know what's better than 1 guitar solo? And he goes, what? He goes,
2 guitar
2
solos.
guitar solos.
Apparently it means new in box.
And he goes, what do you mean 2 guitar solos?
Interesting.
And I go, 2 guitar solos at the same time. He goes, oh shit.
Yeah, because I don't think anyone tried that with him
Nah.
before.
That's
That was
so
cool.
Yeah.
You got that from Iommi, didn't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, It's in Out of Your Hands. Go check it out.
Yeah,
You can really faintly hear another guitar in the background.
it's cool. But yeah, so that
And
was
all
it.
those licks, sorry,
No, sorry.
all of those licks are Tony Iommi inspired. I made sure it
Yeah,
was.
right. That hence why we're doing Sabbath
Yeah.
first, because we're so close.
Like, I
to
made sure, because I was doing the double track guitar solo, I made sure to tribute Tony Iommi in that. They're all Tony Iommi
Nice.
inside.
That's so cool.
Apparently nib means nativity in black.
Oh yes, I did read that. Actually, that
Nativity, not new in box.
no.
So when I said, right. So when I said to you, give me your nib, I mean,
God.
give me your nativity in black.
yeah.
That
Apparently
that just
refers
sounds.
to
Totally
Lord's
meant that.
goatee.
That could be another
Huh.
line in your
Apparently.
OnlyFans, Brad.
Right. So,
I
um,
hate
The
this
band
man.
joked it was shaped like a like a pen nib. Apparently.
Yeah,
Just
right.
sounds so weird.
with the whole
What the
like Roger Bain producing and
Mhm.
thing, they also got a record deal out of that.
Yeah, and they were signed to
Vertigo
Vertigo.
Records, yeah.
And then later, I think Warner Bros in the US
Yes.
released their stuff.
Yeah,
but
that
yeah.
but I believe that was Paranoid.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
So
Yeah, sign us.
We love Warner
So, yeah.
Brothers.
Yeah, so it was released under Philips Records,
With a
which is the
subsidiary. Yeah.
and it was a subsidiary.
Yes.
Subsidiary,
I don't know.
right? I don't know how to spell it, but
That's-
it was Vertigo Records, right?
Yep.
Vertigo Records went on to release a few of their albums, a few of their first albums.
Yeah. I always hit myself in the
It
mouth
made
with
it.
my-
It made it as high as number 8 on the UK charts and number 23 on the Billboard 200.
Yes. It was critics
Is that
actually. Well, they weren't in the mainstream yet. This first album didn't get them into the mainstream, so that's incredibly good considering Bradley. Better than us.
Critics tore it apart.
Yeah, they hated it,
You like
but
Bradley?
they
Fans
amassed
loved it.
such a good fan
So
base from it.
fuck the critics.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Mirage is a good game. Fuck you, critics.
Unpopular opinion, or maybe popular. Critics' opinions are unpopular.
Yeah.
I don't like opinions from critics.
Yeah.
It's shit.
Yeah.
But love us, please.
Yeah,
Yes,
Please, critics.
Say good things
Write
about
reviews
us.
on us.
But yeah.
Critics, how was my solo?
So yeah, that was how heavy metal was invented.
Yeah.
By
yeah.
one band that wanted to turn horror movies into rock and roll.
So yeah, and then they went on to. Oh wait, no.
Did they have any influences back when they were becoming a band?
Yes,
it was all the
they
blue
did.
stuff.
It was
wasn't
a lot of the blue stuff.
We've
but,
talked about this.
No, we didn't go really because they were
No,
a
we
little bit all over
didn't.
the shop because Ozzy was influenced by a lot of soul. Like he has a very soulful voice, so it was less of the blues and more like soul-based stuff.
Yeah, well, they couldn't think about the type of music they wrote and get influenced by that. That's a like sort of.
No, so they were all influenced by
Yeah.
it, like us, kind of different stuff. Because Bill Ward was into gypsy jazz.
They
Not Bill
were,
Ward. Well, Tony
um,
Iommi was into gypsy jazz.
They were a product of their generation,
Yeah, it was kind of this like.
of the generation before them.
But they were influenced by a lot of lighter music, like Ozzy with soul. Bill Ward was jazz. Iommi was gypsy jazz, and then Geezer. His main influences were like the occult that bled into his music, but it was like classical kind of stuff in there as well.
That's
and
awesome.
then they were because it was their time period is what shaped their music more, I think, than their influences. Because it was so like where they grew up in Birmingham.
Birmingham.
Yeah, Birmingham.
Birmingham.
Is that like when Americans say Melbourne?
Birmingham.
Birmingham. I'm so
Birmingham.
sorry. Or when they say Brisbane.
Warrington.
I'm so sorry. But yeah,
I like
glossing
saying
over
Brad.
that. What was I saying? Right.
He's
It
so
was very
disappointed.
it was very depressing, much like what I just said, where they grew up and it was all just like they thought they just had a life of
Where did they grow
factory.
up? They grew up in
Birmingham.
Birmingham.
Yeah. And so it was kind of that dark, depressing, war-torn, like they went into the Vietnam War and it was all this like politics and they felt like the world's kind of falling apart. Kind of like what we're going through now a bit with like the world
Yeah.
feels like
COVID
such a
and-
hard place
yeah.
to be in at the moment.
They went on.
And that's what made their music so heavy. Less of their
it
influences.
was a lot of the anger.
Yeah,
around
yeah,
that
yeah,
time.
yeah. They've all said that. Like
Yeah.
Geezer wrote a lot of anti-political and like
There's a lot of that
anti-establishment
from the
sort of.
70s to the 90s.
Yeah. Well, the
It
thing
was
is
off the
as
back
well,
of like the hippie, like flower power era. So
Yeah.
they were all just like, "Fuck this, fuck
Yeah.
the world's," like, just.
Thing is
They've
as
been up
well
for 30 years.
Yeah.
is Birmingham is like you guys have probably
Birmingham.
haven't gone to Birmingham because you suck, but
All right.
I was in
no.
Birmingham for a little bit while I was watching like the Peaky Blinders, you know. I was like,
Oh, you
Oh
went
yeah,
there.
yeah, nice,
You've
nice,
not
nice.
left
I
the
was
country,
mentally,
Brad.
you know,
Yeah,
like-
yeah.
Yep. I went to the
Um,
lolly
was living
shop
in it.
that's got British sweets in it, so that counts. Go on.
Nah, so Birmingham nowadays is quite depressing, but
Mhm.
Birmingham back then was very depressing.
Yeah, it was all just
Factories and just 9 to 5, like war torn, bombed, and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Like Black Sabbath very much has that influence of depression from
Mm.
the factories. Factory work is
it's the
brutal.
you've worked.
I've
it,
done
yeah.
factory
You
work.
both,
So have I.
yeah.
It's brutal.
I never want to.
It's mind-numbingly boring.
Mind-numbing.
And that's all they thought they had. That's why
Yeah.
they turned to music. It was their release.
Yeah.
And then it became so much more than that. But
Yeah.
everyone has said that Sabbath were definitely a product of their time.
Yeah.
Like it was the time period political influences was sort of what shaped their music. Like War
Yeah.
Pigs. I mean, it's after their first album.
Yeah.
That was when they came back to their second album, but it's very like
But-
anti-war lyrics.
We're not going to talk about that today
No, we're
because
not.
there's going to be a part 2 of this,
Hopefully
and it's going to be
down
the
track.
later career.
Yeah, because it was just
of
too
Black
much. We tried to do this in the last episode,
Yeah.
cover most of their career, and we just ended up going for like.
Just means you guys have
2
got to come
hours.
back.
Yeah, you got to
So-
stay
Yeah.
tuned. But
Stay
yeah,
tuned to us.
Yeah.
that was how they invented heavy metal.
Heavy metal.
I think it's cool because it was just a lot of like
I've-
happenstance.
I think
Heavy
the most fascinating thing is
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of fascinating things with that story, but I think it's really cool that Ozzy Osbourne was actually into soul.
Right? Because you wouldn't really tell based on the sort of music. I mean, you can hear it in his voice a bit, but because their music's so much heavier, you don't know so much.
I don't like. I love soul.
Yeah.
It's one of my big influences. So I think that's super cool.
Yeah, it's
You know,
kind of
you
like
can-
you're in a heavy band, but you're influenced by
Yeah,
soul.
I think it's
you know what
awesome.
you can hear in Ozzy's voice?
What? Cocaine.
Cocaine
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
tobacco.
Oh, yeah.
Literally.
You could do a whole episode just on Ozzy's life.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And on Tony Iommi's life. One
Mm.
more thing before we go, right? You know how do you want to know how Tony Iommi got his trebly massive sound?
Yes.
Do you actually know?
How?
No, I don't.
I don't
So
know.
it was actually a mod that a guy did on his pedal.
Really?
So he had like a little, I think it was a bluesy driver sort of pedal. It was a drive pedal, and it wasn't cutting it at first. And some guy approached him at a gig and said, if you give me your pedal, I'll take it away and I'll come to your next gig and I'll give it you back.
no
And
shit. Wow.
I'll modify the pedal to put some more trebly / bass in it
So it more like
to give
cut
it that
through?
extra boost to make it cut through more.
Fuck, that's crazy.
And Tony Iommi was kind of at a little bit of like, what if this guy just fucking
He's
nicks it?
skeptical.
Yeah.
You know, what if
Yeah.
he just nicks it, you know? But nah, he took it away and he trusted him and he took
Yeah,
it back
right.
and then he got the pedal.
Fuck.
That's
That's
so
wicked.
cool.
Do you know what that birthed?
What?
You know the treble, what's it called? Fuck, I forgot it. What's
Is it a
the
pedal?
pedal? The treble booster. Is it treble? Fuck! Oh my god! Are you kidding? I'm blanking. I
That's
tell
cool.
this fucking story and I blank.
That's a cool story, Arch.
He's shooting blanks over there.
Treble pedal.
No,
Treble bleed.
no.
Treble capacitor.
Did you
Treble
say treble?
bleed
Did you say
capacitor.
treble weed?
Ibanez pedal.
Is that a weed?
We sell
I'm
it at the
calling the
store. Why
police.
can't I know this? Doug would be like tearing strips. Tube screamer.
Oh, is that he? Basically, this dude
Yeah,
invented a
pretty
tube
much, yeah,
screamer.
man.
That's
Oh,
crazy,
that's
man.
sick.
So
Wow.
yeah,
That's so cool.
but the
They
tube,
are one of
the
the
tube
most-
screamer is kind of based after that.
Was this
Wow.
early? Was this when they were Black Sabbath, or was
Yeah.
this when they were?
Mm.
Yeah, sick.
This was like early Black Sabbath. so-
Awesome.
Wow.
Anyway,
They just revolutionized music.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's
We
amazing.
owe a lot to Sabbath.
We do.
I think.
We do.
as a band, we owe heaps to Sabbath.
I was the thing.
Ollie
that,
even looks like Ozzy Osbourne.
Nothing wrong with that. He's a looker.
yeah.
Fuck oath. Shut up, Molly. Don't.
He's a looker.
He's a fucking looker. Okay.
Is he?
Each
Um,
to their own.
He.
I think the looker of the
You know,
band is
whatever
Naomi,
floats
to
your
be
boat, I
honest.
guess.
Really?
I don't think any of them are lookers.
Iommi looks like a mop.
Oh god. yeah.
You know what I feel like? I feel like he looks like the Grudge.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
Grudge and a mix
Yeah.
of the mix of the
Well,
Grudge.
that's
and
good because they wanted to be a horror movie.
You
That's
think
it,
the
yeah.
Grudge is hot?
No, I don't think any of them are hot.
Apparently, it's
Arch.
very common.
Oh
Girls
my
find
God.
like weird monsters hot a lot of the time.
Anyway, that's all we have time for today.
Yeah, let's not get that off track.
Yeah.
No
So
comment. No comment.
thanks so much for coming to our
To the
podcast.
First episode of Clovercast.
First episode of Clovercast.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. I hope you
Mhm.
guys had as much fun as we did. We're signing off now. I
Wait,
hope
we should tell them the schedule because new episodes air Sunday, 7 o'clock.
Sunday 7
every
o'clock
week.
every week.
Hey.
So come back next week and hear about
Hey.
Guns N' Roses
Gunners.
from Holly and Brad.
From your favorite band members ever.
from the
What?
dynamic duo of the Blondes over here.
The Blondes.
Can't wait to
The
hear
Have a
from
Blondes.
lot of
Blondes.
fun. No.
But yeah,
We've
Yay.
got the blondes, and the talented people.
yeah, the blondes and the talented brunettes. Oh,
You just
don't.
dissed
You're
every
on
blonde
camera, don't
person
leave me
ever.
hanging. Thank
Yeah.
you.
We are incredible.
Yeah.
Me and Brad are gonna own it.
Hey.
We've got this.
Anyway,
Yeah. So
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, that was too
Oh,
That was very
synchronized.
cool.
That was.
We share a brain cell.
I was gonna say, do you guys feel like? Do you guys feel a connection?
see, when you said we share a
Who's got
brain
the
cell,
brain cell today?
I twitched a bit.
Yeah.
Like, you've got brain cell today.
Yeah,
I
pretty
think
much.
so.
Every single time she says brain cell, though, it's like converting to me. My eyes like twitching. It's like
Oh god. Anyway,
Yeah.
I haven't had breakfast yet.
I have.
No, I only had a banana. That's all I've had. Today.
Anyway,
So you've had
let's go
breakfast.
sign
Early
off so we can
banana.
go eat breakfast. All right.
Just do that.
What about Harrison's thing? What's Harrison's thing?
Oh.
That's
What's Harrison's
Let's
thing?
not do that on camera. Let's not do it on
Thanks
camera.
so
Oh,
much.
yeah. Don't think that's what that is.
yeah. He says a little bit of peace, a little bit of rock.
Yep. Anyway, that's a good note to end on.
Yes.
Come
Yeah,
back
like-
Little bit of
next
peace,
week.
little bit of rock.
Check
See you
us
later.
out.
Where it's like
Clover.
Clovercast.
Too many Clovers on Instagram.
Yeah. Spotify,
Stay tuned.
Pariah. Thank you so much,
shit.
guys.
No, wait.